35 new global traders have set up base here in Singapore over the past 3 years, bringing the total now to 400. Newcomers include Kuwaiti chemical company MEGlobal and Colombia's national oil company Ecopetrol.
To tell us more about Singapore's efforts to strengthen its global hub status, we have with us in the studio Mr. Lee Pak Sing. He's Assistant CEO for Trade and Connectivity at EnterpriseSG. Thank you for coming this evening, Mr. Lee. How much work did Enterprise Singapore have to do to get these big names to come here?
Well, we work with enterprises from all over the world to bring them into Singapore, and each of them has a different unique requirements, and depending on what their plans are, we work with them to ensure that they can continue to grow and anchor their presence in Singapore. The good thing is that we have about 400 of them in Singapore, and they are from all over the world, trading across different commodities like metal minerals, oil, chemicals, agriculture commodity players. And they find that it's compelling for them to come because when they come here, they are able to find people that they can buy the commodities from and people they can sell the commodities to. So we continue to work with individual companies as well as to develop the space that will be attractive for them to base their operations in Singapore.
Mr. Lee, attracting these big companies into Singapore, that's a very big part of what EnterpriseSG does. But you also want to be able to encourage companies here to sort of go overseas as well. That's a very important component of the trade story as well. Tell us where we are with that objective.
Well, we do both. So one is bringing the international global traders to come to Singapore to set up the operations here, and also to work with our local traders to spread the network overseas. And what we do is first is in terms of telling them where the opportunities are. And second, also to actively facilitate finding partners for them, where they can find partners to source the commodities from, and also able to sell the products to new markets. And this is where our 37 offices around the world do play an important role to these
Are we particularly
companies.
Strong in one sector or another with that?
For the trading sectors, we trade across different commodities. And in fact, Singapore is known to be a leading commodity players in areas like energy, chemicals, in agriculture commodities, and also in terms of metals and minerals. And also what we try to do is to deepen and widen our trade across more countries. Yeah. And so we are going beyond the region to further afield. And in this regard, we are going to the emerging markets as well as like the Middle East and the Latin American countries.
Right. When we talk about deepening and widening our trade with regions and countries, when you do something, I mean, you were saying, oh, we work with individual companies, we work with a broader picture as well. But however much we have in terms of resources, there's always some limit. So how do you prioritize to decide, you know, we've got so far with this, where do we need to look to next to build our strength there? Because that is what we want to invest in.
Yes, so trade has been our lifeblood for Singapore, and that since the founding of Singapore, we have been trading. And the trade products has evolved over time. In the past, we trade spices, we trade tin, we trade rubber. And now we trade across different products like oil, like chemicals, and metal minerals. And as the economic structure around the world changes, so we also leverage on the opportunities. In current, what we're trying to do is to trade in new products, like biofuels, like carbon credits, like electric vehicles, metals like nickels. So we will evolve according to global structural forces and find opportunities where we can get our company to be involved in.
Mr. Lee, when it comes to Singapore's trade hub status, I mean, who's giving us a run for our money as far as competition is concerned? Because there are competitors out there who are also trying to, sort of gain that status and maintain it as well.
There will always be different trading hubs in the world, and they serve different purpose for different markets. And one of the unique value proposition of Singapore is simply where we are and what we have. So we are in Asia. Companies come to Asia because they want to access markets in Asia. There's a growing demand for commodities because of industrialization, because of growing middle class. There's also a good supply of commodities in Asia. So we have abundant resources, for example, in natural rubber. But besides that, one good thing that we have is that we have this very dense network of counterparties in Singapore. We have 400 of them. So when you want to grow your trade, it's easy to come to Singapore in a compact place. You can find your suppliers, you can find your buyers, and grow your trade volume. And what we try to do also, in order to grow the sector, is to make sure that it is talent-friendly. Because for a trading company to prosper, you do need talents. You do need people who understand markets. And so we will continue to attract these talents, not just as a business or family-friendly place, but also because in Singapore, it is where you can do the most forefront of trade activities like digitalization, innovation, or trading in new products.
All right. Singapore is unusually outward-looking as far as connectivity and trade is concerned, but I think it's no surprise, it's no news to you either. Geopolitical tensions, global health issues.
Sure.
One of the first knee-jerk reactions is to pull inwards to say,
yes.
let's try to be self-sufficient. If you're large enough, maybe you can manage it.
Yes.
Most of us cannot.
Yeah.
What is your Singapore enterprise doing to, I suppose, cope with potential disruptions in supply chains?
Yes.
Which will happen.
Yeah. So as you also know from COVID, we learned the lesson that supply chain resilience is very important to us. So at the company level, what we do is we work with enterprises to make sure that they can continue to build up the capability in supply chain management, supply chain resilience. And we do actively facilitate also for them to find partners in the supply places where they get the products for the production, and also the end markets where they can sell the products to. And at the national level, what we try to do is to develop linkages with other countries. And so we have signed 27 FTAs with 64 countries. And in recent years, we also try to develop deeper linkages with regions that we ordinarily or traditionally have not been so connected with. So we have signed, for example, the FTA with the Pacific Alliance. So the Pacific Alliance Singapore FTA is a FTA that we signed with Latin American countries of Chile, Colombia, Mexico, and Peru. So that helped deepen our trade networks and help increase our supply chain resilience.
Well, thanks so much for spelling all that for us.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Lee Pak Sing, Assistant CEO for Trade and Connectivity at EnterpriseSG. Thank you
very much. Thank you. Thank you for your time.